All right, my three commas. That's what we're still calling ourselves, right?
Yeah, the Three Commas Club.
Okay, I like it. Yeah, if we can create our own tequila brand after we blow
Mhm.
up, become as big as Acquired FM or maybe even TBPN, we should do that. But good to jump in with you guys. We're in really weird locations. We were just talking about how I'm taking a break from my family and from Disneyland, the cult that I admire most in this planet, because it's tiring and really fun over here. But I think one of the things that maybe we can actually even share is our audience may not be aware that we're doing crazy experiments in terms of how we're selecting articles. And I want to give them a preview, if it's okay, of like what our chat looks like throughout the week. So let me actually share my screen, if that's okay. Ian, actually, do you want to introduce like this new kind of experiment that we're doing today in terms of how we're selecting these articles? How are these being generated?
So this is something that I get on my inbox. I have a AI dedicated email box that I get all the emails. And then my Claude actually goes into that and give me 20 top news that we should talk about in our podcast. Because my Claude knows what we talked about on our podcast, it picks the information or the news stories that's going to fit to what we're going to talk about. It actually does for my newsletter a different thing, podcast different thing, and I also do card news on my Instagram in Korean. They generate something different for that context. So it's my cloud but doing all the work.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin and I are just basically your beneficiaries right now. So Ian has been hacking away, as we said in past episodes, on Claude, AI agents, and so forth. So we're running experiments where we do editorial selection through Ian's bots, which is super cool. So that's how we're being selecting our stories today. And maybe, guys, we can just jump right into it. Kevin, let's actually start with your first reaction here. The first thing that Ian's bot had selecting for us was the headline Anthropic passes OpenAI in revenue. They're saying it's a $30 billion ARR for Anthropic compared to $24 billion for OpenAI. And yet, Anthropic's valuation is effectively half of OpenAI. How do you read all this stuff? Like, how do you reconcile, like, man, this has been a huge, like, come from behind the valuation? Is it off kilter or seems fair for Anthropic? Your read on
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I mean, this has been big news, I would say, this past week. Like everyone's been talking about it, sending it around. And I think it's well, there's a couple like there's so many reactions. I think one of them is it's amazing how fast things can change in the AI landscape. Because I think, if you asked anyone even a year ago, is this possible? A lot of people would be like, nah, OpenAI's got it on lock, like they're crushing it, like they're the number one player. And then, in such a short period of time, Anthropic releases that $13 billion, whatever, huge bar chart that we saw. And then the next, couple quarters later, it's now at 30 billion. And they've just been crushing it on execution, co-work, coding, Excel, dispatch. Like they've just been crushing the product releases. And meanwhile, OpenAI unfortunately has not been. I think they haven't shipped a lot of new stuff in a really long time. And they've been shutting stuff down, right? They shut down Sora, which is probably the right decision, but it just shows you that, like, I was saying this with my friend, as we were having coffee today. It almost feels like OpenAI was kind of like a one-shot wonder. They got like ChatGPT
Mm,
and they started this whole craze about AI. And then, fast forward a year or so later, they just haven't been able to kind of generate another big hit, right? So it's a bit strange and unfortunate, to be honest. The valuation thing, I think to be honest, I think the market has already started repricing in the right direction. The last round that I think OpenAI raised was at like 850 billion or something.
mhm,
And then
around
the
there.
last one that publicly Anthropic raised was, I think, 350 billion. But I know that the secondary markets that are trading for Anthropic are nowhere close to 350. Like I think most indications I've seen are closer to like probably 700, 600 to 700 billion. So it's already like I would say probably at par with where OpenAI's like kind of valuation is already. And I think the headline I saw on that 850 billion for OpenAI was that a lot of that wasn't even funded yet. Like a lot of the investment from that round
Yeah.
is
It was contingent on a lot of things, like a pledge, right?
yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
a promissory, like they, like as far as I'm aware, I don't think SoftBank has actually funded their commitment for that investment. So I don't know if that's like a real mark, like a real trustable valuation mark that people should be looking at. So either way, like I think the valuation, the market will adjust to what I think is the right kind of valuation mark for each of those two very shortly.
I mean, Ian, is a move here for Anthropic to definitely IPO before OpenAI does. It can kind of benefit from like the public mark of OpenAI at the 840 or 850 or something and say like, look, we're a deal. A lot of room for us to sort of to capture a lot of money this way. What was your read when you saw these crazy metrics, big numbers?
I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what to trust and who to trust. I don't know what numbers are correct. I guess, I mean, everybody is on the same page that Anthropic's doing better in terms of momentum than OpenAI, but are they really taking over? This is an ARR that's based on annualized revenue number, not actual ARR, but it's more like a run rate. So it could change tomorrow. So I think we're not sure yet, but again, I agree with Kevin that Anthropic came a long way to catch up with OpenAI, and I think OpenAI was too distracted. Like Anthropic had a focus. We're going to get the coding done. It worked out great, but OpenAI was trying to be too many things. I mean, I think it's the leadership problem that we're going to talk about later today, but it's the leadership that messed up. So unfortunate. OpenAI had a head start and could have been where Anthropic is and also where OpenAI is. It could have been the biggest AI company ever, but I think it's such a blunder that they did along the way here.
You know, you say trust, which is a really good word here. When it comes to Anthropic's numbers, when they report ARR, I could believe that's actually real ARR because they're largely enterprise driven, right? There's probably a contract, and then you could say like this is a 2-year contract, 1-year contract, like the traditional we learned in accounting 101 with like ARR is calculated as. I bet you though it's being compared to run rate, as you said, Ian, against ChatGPT because that is a much more retail product, or at least historically. I don't think they have done as much in terms of their mix of revenue on the enterprise side. I'm sure it's enormous, of course. But you know, there's a part of this $30 billion ARR number of Anthropic that caught my eye in a different story, which is apparently 1/3 of that is Meta. Like they are by far the largest enterprise contract for Anthropic. And I'm like, my mind cannot understand this business at all. So you have like Meta trying to do their thing, but they're using their competitors' tools in like the ridiculous way. There's rumors that performance is being tied to token use now for engineers within Meta. I don't know if you saw that story too. But in addition to that too, there's like the other shit that like I don't understand of like aren't they like a supply chain risk? Like how is it possible that like they're picking up all this revenue and like no people like these people who are all working for the government like Microsoft are like, yeah, we wouldn't give a shit about like this designation. We're just gonna keep going. Like, have you guys tried to put these puzzle pieces together in your mind to reconcile this? Ian, we'll go
I
back to you on
think
that.
I think it's actually a problem, could be a problem for Anthropic. Meta just released their own model and they're claiming it's as good as Anthropic's model.
Yeah, we're
And
gonna
you
get
know, this is token usage, so it might go down. I don't know. It's also must be using Anthropic to build their own model too.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this is stable. And I'm betting there's going to be a big scandal around how Anthropic is calculating their revenue ARR because I've been hearing
it's
rumors.
a good call.
You know, because I get some calls from people that, hey, do you know how Anthropic calculate the revenue? And I was like, I have no idea. You got to talk to GIC guys. But there's gonna be a good article about it, I think, sometime soon.
Mm.
Kevin, you know, you were the guy who brought companies public or and you know invest in these late rounds back in the day. So like what would be in your investor memo to make the case like we got to come in now. I feel really good about this momentum. What are you sensing from this? Just give me the final word on that story.
I mean, look, I think everyone is, calculating ARR in very sometimes, you know, very aggressive ways. And so like, you know, we met with another company yesterday. I won't name any names that apparently is also calculating their ARR based on like contracted. Actually, I heard this was new. I heard that they were calculating based on cash received uh, at a certain through a certain period of time, and then multiplying that by like 12. But like they charge like upfront, right? Like you pay for, say, a subscription for
Mm,
like a year upfront, which
mm,
doesn't really make sense why you should.
You can't use cash basis accounting method though for calculating ARR in any
Exactly.
SaaS
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
business. So yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like
that's
you shouldn't be
fucking
using.
weird.
It's crazy. Yeah, it makes no sense because it's not
Yeah,
recognized revenue until you actually provide the service for like,
deliver the service,
yeah, you
right?
know. And if you're collecting 12 months up front, like you can't take that and multiply, you know, by 12 again. Or I don't know. It just it doesn't make
Oh
sense.
my gosh, that's bold, man. And they're
Yeah.
pitching that
So
to you? Like, did they look at your background? You could call bullshit on this like a mile away.
there's some like
Crazy.
crazy stuff happening out there, you know, and maybe that's a sign of the times, you know, where
Yeah,
we
I
are
guess
in
it
the
is.
market as well. You know, I don't know. I don't want to be like the doomsday or, you know, kind of, you know, Debbie Downer, but you know, there's a lot of companies, these model layer companies are raising $5, $4, $5, $6 billion valuation, 11 billion valuations with no revenue, pre-revenue, and it kind of just reminds me of like the SPAC days, you know, when companies were
Mm.
like IPOing with no financials, like this is a far out battery technology or electric vehicle, you know, autonomous company that's SPACing at like a 5 billion valuation. Um, I don't know, maybe we're on the cusp of something, guys.
There's gonna be a lot more to this story, but we got to move on because there's some other great things that Ian Bot has selected for us. So let's talk about this story number four on the list, which was Claude Mythos finds 27-year-old OpenBSD bug. That's not saying the whole thing. So Claude Mythos, that model that was leaked by accident, that everyone copied the repo of 500,000 lines or something. This huge step function improvement in terms of the Claude Opus model even is big. Apparently, they found a lot of zero-day bugs across like many dozens of softwares that we've been using for decades. All right. What is impressive for me, at least, about this story, I didn't read the one that your editor, your bot editor, or Ian had put together. I want to get to you in on this one. Is that it was actually the restraint of Anthropic. They're not actually monetizing. Like, hey, I saw a critical bug that you need to fix. Like, pay me like $100 million or something, or you're fucked. Like, it's they actually just shared all the details to all like the security researchers, to the companies and the vendors themselves, as like this is your information. We're just trying to protect people. And I thought that was a delightful PR move and not greedy one. And like, have you been tracking this like Mythos security thing? It's scary as hell that it was able to expose so many problems in our software that we use every day.
I think this is another PR fear mongering PR by Anthropic. I
You think
don't
so?
think I don't think this is real.
Not altruistic.
No, this is just pure. They need money. They need to raise more money. They want IPO. I think this is a pure PR move. Benchmarks don't mean anything unless we actually get our hands on and try to use it and actually show it. I don't know, to the users. And I don't think I trust this yet. If this happens and we're getting closer to the AGI and we have a bigger problem to worry about. But if you, I don't think this is real, to be honest.
This
It's
is
just too soon.
some of these quotes
Kevin,
are really funny
yeah.
too. Like I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
reading an
I'll read some
article.
too. Go ahead.
It says in one instance detailed in Anthropic's testing, Mythos broke out of a secure sandbox meant to restrict internet access, with a researcher finding out that it was receiving an unexpected email from the model while eating a sandwich in a park. Like, this is
Yeah.
just crazy. It just sounds like
And
a
I think,
joke.
yeah.
A prison break, basically. It just like ran out of his prison and came back.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
what
And I
kind of
think,
prison are we talking about? Why is it in a prison? Like, and how do we know it's in the park eating a sandwich? Like, this sounds like someone like wrote a storybook, like a children's book about AI models and how they're
I mean,
sentient.
we've heard about this story already. Like when Gemini 3 was released or 3.1 was being released, they said, oh, Gemini might have a consciousness. And I think Anthropic said the same thing at Opus 4.3 or something. And we are already at AGI. Like we already are, have models that has understanding what's going on of the world. But that was a whole lot different stories. I mean, I agree. There's going to be cybersecurity risk. I think it's going to be a big problem, really, really big problem. But I think the Mythos League and all this thing is a huge PR that
Yeah.
Daria has shown us multiple times already.
Well, yeah, I agree with Ian. In our text thread, I was saying like someone needs to really like congratulate Anthropic on doing a great job of like their marketing because the only way to build more hype with something is to tell people that they cannot have it, right? Like if you tell someone I'm not going to give you this latest model or I'm not going to give you this secret, like you're gonna want it even more, right? So everyone's gonna be super hungry for like I must have it, I must have it. And so now I think they just said that they started this thing called Project Glasswing, which is like giving 40 handpicked companies that they
Yeah.
trust like early access to Mythos so they can use it to find like security flaws that they have. And there's like Amazon, Google, Apple, Nvidia, all the like the biggest kind of companies in the world.
I didn't like that, right? Because like that's almost like king making.
Mm.
Can you imagine like the criteria by which you select these 40 companies? I mean, yeah, it's trust. We all know we've been in business for a long time. Like it's not just trust. It's just if I think I need something from Ian, like a key partnership or investment or some sort of connection from him, like that, we trade this kind of stuff all the time, in Silicon Valley and in business. It seems like if I were in the CRM space and I'm Salesforce and you trust me, like you're giving me a crazy. It's like injecting me with all the peptides and anabolic steroids for like the foot race before everyone else gets it. I think that also presents a really dangerous thing there, right? I mean, and maybe this is soft power to Ian's point, right? Which is like, hey, if we're nice to Anthropic, they're going to give us early access to their best shit, right? Like the Coke dealer, right? So,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Okay, you're infecting my brain with my brain with more negativity. Ian, I don't know. I want you to get the
Yeah.
last word on this. Yeah.
But I don't know if this is actually given to those companies and their employees should be going crazy on their social media or whatever. And I'm 100% sure
Oh,
that, hey, we're
yeah,
giving you access to this, but it's also limited. So try it. It might be slightly better than current models. But again, I don't think we're going to get there with current, AI structure. I think we got to have a
yeah.
giant leap to become, the next generation of AI models. We're peaking in our current generation, I think.
For any listeners who are avid fans, diehard fans of Three Commas, if you work at one of these 40 companies in this Glasswing project, please check your employee blind social networks, subreddits, or internal chatter. I'm curious to hear if you guys have seen access to this stuff. You can put it as a comment on our YouTube channel, I guess. We'll figure out where we place these episodes long term. But let's move on. Let's go back to bashing Meta a little bit. This is story number 6 in Ian's editorial bot. Meta launches Muse Spark. It was funny. So, like, this is like what they're calling their personal super intelligence agent. Seems like a nice chat GPT ish kind of thing. And they share impressive benchmarks that no regular person's really going to care about. Ian sort of shared this story earlier, and then he accompanied it with like this Korean meme, which basically was like, and then like I announced this thing and no one gave a shit about it or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, that kind of like fell under the radar in this last week of news, right? It's like, okay, Meta says they're back in the game, but no one appears to care. Actually, let's go to you, Kevin, on this one. Have you been excited about Muse Spark? Has this shown up in like your WhatsApp groups or whatever with other investors and founders? I don't know.
No, honestly, it hasn't.
Not at all.
Yeah, not at all. And I think there's just so much going on with like OpenAI and Anthropic every day that like literally I feel like almost everyone else has kind of fallen to the wayside. Like you don't hear much about XAI. Well, I guess now it's part of SpaceX and they're gonna go public and he needs to rebuild things from the ground up. Like it's really just like Anthropic and OpenAI. And unfortunately, most of the news about OpenAI has like not been very positive for the last few weeks. Um, But like I think Meta, needs to get their head in the game. They have as much of a right, I think, to be in this as Gemini, Google, and OpenAI, Anthropic do as well. But like, I think they played around a lot with Llama and this open source idea, and now they're finally coming around to the idea that we need to release like a consumer, maybe like more of like a consumer grade, product that people will like to use, and hopefully they're going to start to use what they've learned from, being the third largest, customer of Anthropic to actually build apps and products that their own consumers are going to use across their huge distribution, right? Like Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, like they have such amazing distribution channels, just like Google, that they have not been able to really leverage. So I think, I don't know, I think there's a lot of opportunity here, and the stock was up, I think it was like 8% on the, the day that they announced it. So hopefully there's like a positive development here for them, because I would like to see more than just, two or three really top competitors here. I think it would be good to add a little bit more tension in.
I mean, Ian, so speaking of like PR that we just had this conversation a second ago, is like Anthropic still feels like the good guy amongst this race, right? And Meta it has its own problems, right? I mean, they lost some pretty big lawsuits when it comes to social media addiction in the past week. I don't think Mark Zuckerberg feels like a trustworthy character these days in that. Do you think that also contributes a little bit about the tepid response to Muse Spark?
Well, I think they just haven't performed well, and people just use Anthropic too much. Like everybody's on Anthropic now, or GPT, or Gemini, so they just don't have enough attention to, you know, give it to Mark or Facebook or Meta right now. But I think the strategy that Meta is trying to do is they're actually going to put this on their WhatsApp and Instagram and all these models, and try to claim that, hey, this is the most beloved AI model by the customers, because their customer base for those are huge. So they can just
Enormous.
claim, hey, WhatsApp guys, people on WhatsApp use this once a day, so they can claim this all the numbers that they're using this for it. So I think that's going to be a good sign for them, but I don't think they're going to be ChatGPT or Claude level model, even Gemini model. Um, I personally think don't like how they're moving towards. I think they should have stayed in open source model. That could have had some impact on the market, because I think ultimately we're going to go to open source and on device smaller models. That's not as good as, Opus 4.6 or Opus 27 GPT 45. But it's going to be 70% of or 80% of the performance of these models, and we can put that on our iPhone, MacBook, or whatever your personal devices, and then you don't have to worry about the cost or privacy. I think that's where we're headed. So Meta just is doing something close model. Yes, they have to show something with this all crazy acquisitions and poaching people from OpenAI and everything, but I wish they stayed in more open source model and try to go for on device model first.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I wish that Meta had stuck to VR headsets. I mean, like at least it's differentiated, right?
I think I kind of agree with you on that. I just made a video about my Vision Pro, why I bought it, and I think it's the future. So I
You still
still
like it.
believe I love it. I mean, I think it's going to be the future. I mean, it's still 70% there, but it's going to be there. This is going to be the next generation big deal. Like open source, I mean, AI stuff, I think is already
Yeah.
expensive. Maybe I'm looking too far ahead, but I think AI and general softwares, it's all going to be replaced. The only space that we can expect to something to happen in software wise, I think it's a spatial computing,
Yeah.
which was enabled by AI.
Actually, like Kevin, do you agree with this? I mean, there's something that I think is so elegant about Apple, right? They're like the children are gonna fight amongst themselves. We're like Papa here, and like you can access like our hardware, and like you guys go fight it out. I mean, maybe there's like a version that Meta could have played here, right? Which is like we're gonna create the best in class augmented reality, virtual reality software or sorry hardware, and then yeah, you guys can plug in your models as developers, no problem. what do you think about like that kind of? I wasn't gonna say metaverse. I guess like yeah, I guess multiverse. Multiverse. What do you think about that multiverse timeline, Kevin? Would you think that could have worked for them?
I, you know, I don't know. I have to disagree with Ian here. I don't know if we're there yet on this VR, AR. I do agree that at some point it will be the right form factor, but I feel like for some reason there just hasn't been that killer use case that everyone's just like, I gotta have it, I gotta use it in some for something, right?
Yeah, fair.
Um, but I do think at some point, I think we will get there. I don't know what the use case is going to be, but I think having something on your eyes, I mean, your eyes process so much information they can control, they should be able to control and be a good user interface for such a technology too. I think it makes a lot of sense. What I actually think Meta should have done, well, I have two things to say actually. I think one, Apple may be being too complacent right now. I think they haven't I think I
Mm.
said this maybe in our past podcast or something. I don't know if they really innovated in like the last few years. Like outside of maybe the Vision Pro, which I mean hasn't really taken off that well. Like they've just been creating new addition, like very incremental changes to existing products over and over and over every single year. And I think that they do really run the risk of being out innovated by another big hardware player if someone comes through with something that is an amazing product, right? Especially in light
Mm.
of all the new AI technologies that we have, like the iPhone may not be the right form factor forever,
It's
right?
the Vision Pro.
It's the vision.
He's, I can't believe you're still pitching this.
There he goes. There he goes. Yeah, or it could be. I mean, there's been some failed form factors like the rabbit thing and the little clips and the humane pin and all. So there's been some failed form factors, but like someone might come out with a form factor that just works really well, and then Apple's gonna have to scramble too. But I actually think what Facebook or Meta should have done is that I think they should have taken either created their own AI models or taken someone else's or acquired someone else's AI application or model to specifically fit into what their existing product distribution channels are looking for. Like, for example, Instagram. I think they should have found some sort of visual image generation model or video generation model,
100%.
acquired that business or built their own and just,
Like a mid journey.
put
Yeah.
it into Instagram
Yeah, exactly.
and just like you would totally crush it. But instead, you still have the same stupid interface that you've got to like record a video and you got to type it out on, your keyboard. And it's like you could have really like taken off with some interesting AI products on that. Same with WhatsApp. Like, I mean, I don't know if people want this, but I kind of want it. Like, what if you could have all your responses drafted by an AI and it look, instead of me having to type out responses, like I get a lot of text and messages and I do a lot of like business stuff on WhatsApp too. Like, wouldn't it be nice if actually I could get drafted out responses for stuff that I could just hit send with or use it for more productivity use cases? But I don't think they've really integrated a lot of the stuff into WhatsApp either. So I think they're just really missing these specific use cases across their distribution channels that there's a lot of opportunity missed here.
I think that's exactly what they're doing right now. They said this is 100% multimodal. They're going to put this on Instagram and WhatsApp. So I think they're trying. They finally realized what they should do. They already have the infrastructure and user base that they can deploy this on. So we'll see. I agree. Like Mid Journey would be perfect. And I just want to talk to WhatsApp, and it creates the best formatted responses to these messages. That'd be great too. Because Google can do it already. It just generates my email responses in one click, and it actually creates a calendar invites based on the conversation we had.
Yeah.
So I think Meta's going to be able to do it. But again, I think the form factor, I think Vision Pro is one of the form factors that Apple can do. I think we're going to have a different types of AirPods that's going to be more Rabbit-like midway. But Vision Pro, I think it's going to be a office worker's must in 2 to 3 years. Because the reason why I didn't buy a Vision Pro was you have to sit down and use keyboards and mouse.
Yeah.
But with AI, you can voice control it now. So I can stand up and use my 360 degree as my monitors, and I just hand gesture click an app and talk to the app, and the AI is going to execute that. So I think voice is actually the interface that's innovating what we can do with Vision Pro, and it's expanding. We're getting out of this keyboard and mouse schema, and also getting out of this screen schema. You can be anywhere and have your own office setup and work there. If you don't need the office setup, you don't need a monitor, take up your Vision Pro, put your AirPods in, it's going to be your AI companion. So I think that's how AI, I mean, and models don't matter here. And I think one thing I disagree with you, Kevin, is Apple has been innovating their AI front in a different way. They've been working on their M chips, M3, M4, M5. These are all AI ready hardwares. So they can just, the interesting part is that whenever you have this great open source models like Gemma $26 billion parameter model, people are putting it on their MacBook Pro, and they're running it locally. And they're surprised how great it is. So in a year or two, we're going to have a model that's as good as Opus 4.5 or 4.6 running on your MacBook. But I don't think their competition, like Windows or any other hardwares, NVIDIA, they're not ready. Their hardwares are great, but at the same time, it's not portable or as good of a user experience as Apple products. So I think they're just going to, hey, you guys do software stuff. We're going to figure out the hardware. So whoever wins, we're going to take that. And if an open source, we're going to take it and build something on our own. So I'm still bullish on Apple. Secondly, Google and Anthropic.
I feel like this podcast is becoming, to use like a Gen Z term that my son says, like a Anthropic and Apple glazing hour. So maybe it's time for us to move on to a very different kind of story, which is kind of more on the investing end of it. This is article number 8 on Ian's editor bot. SaaS multiples compressing down from 18.6x to 5.8x revenue, I guess. I assume that's revenue. So we hear a lot about the term SaaS-pocalypse. Yeah,
Yep.
SaaS-pocalypse, I think, in the past year. This notion that AI and some other things are commoditizing these businesses, they're evaporating their moats. And as a result, it's not really the sexiest thing to say that like you're a SaaS investor right now, because the business model seems to be a little bit torn apart with especially AI. I mean, what do you think, guys? Is this like a blip, or is this really the long term pattern here? Is like this lower compression on like what multiples should look like for any SaaS businesses? I guess I'll go to you, Kevin. Or yeah,
Go for it,
Ian,
Ian.
if you have a thought, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I wrote on an article or newsletter last week that the end of SaaS again. Like I've written this like four times already.
Yeah.
This time, what I told them is I built 25 softwares for myself for the last month, and it only cost me $200 with the Cloud Code Max. And what I've been telling them, and the article's going viral. Like I'm getting 200 followers overnight, and it's I think 17,000 views so far. But it's all about everybody's going to be building their own softwares, and it's not just the personal softwares. It's going to be enterprise softwares will be built internally. I think the Google and Meta has their internal tools team. It's going to be normal to have every company to have that again. I think that's where we're heading towards. What's better about this is you don't have to worry about privacy or cost or anything. You can build it for yourself that fits exactly your way, and then you don't have to pay them or maintain it. You can just keep it in your own infrastructure. That means you don't have to make it perfect. It could be like 90% or 80% of it doesn't have to be pretty because it's going to be your people that are using this product. So, and you don't have to care about the privacy that much because it's going to be used in the intranet or secured space. So I think a lot of companies will be able to do that with the vibe coding and AI and all that kind of stuff. So the reason why SaaS is not going to do well is everybody has a different needs. Salesforce had to modify their Salesforce software for their customers one by one, and that's how sticky they became. And Palantir has been doing the same thing. Their model is essentially expert consulting. They deploy developers to their customer side and help them build their own softwares. So if that's been the practice, why not have the Palantir guys for deployed engineers in your in-house developers and build your own software within your secure space using vibe coding? So that's where I think SaaS will be hard to survive. Ultimately, everybody will use their own software. If there's a 10 billion people on the planet, there's going to be 10 billion softwares for each person.
What's your reaction to that, Kevin?
I agree that like if you're a company of a certain size, you can now basically start to hire a team to create your own software tools to use internally. I also think that a lot of these large legacy, software businesses, they're getting market share taken by new AI native kind of application startups, right? Like I have companies in my portfolio that are building tax, co-pilot software and agents, voice agents for like fintech, insurance, banks use cases. Like if you think about it, the large enterprise customers were using various software products that frankly weren't very good and were not, they either had to be customized or maybe they weren't really happy with them and they're really expensive. But now, because you have all these AI startups that are building great products super fast, you can customize it, make it modular, you can make it, easy, much easier to customize for a specific customer. And it's probably much more affordable too. Like the price that you can charge, is you can undercut these large legacy business, large legacy software providers. So I do think you're also seeing a bit of a market share degradation from these larger, more traditional software businesses that, these startups are starting to take a little bit of these large software companies' lunch.
And what's going to be exciting to see is when the IPO of SpaceX and also like Anthropic, OpenAI happens. Again, like you said, Kevin, a lot of market share is going to be moving from the regular companies to those companies, and the IPO size is massive. So there's going to be a big change in terms of how stock market is going to react for a while. I think next year is going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, like
Yeah.
the top three Fortune 500 companies at this point will be AI businesses by this time next year. If the IPOs are to proceed on the schedule that's going to happen, which is an incredible shakeup, right? And I imagine a lot of SaaS businesses on that list are going to be out of that 500. You know, a question I'm often asked by people who are new investors into tech, they want to get into more tech exposure or angel investing. They ask me where they should park their capital. It's going to work against my interest to make this claim, but S&P 500 index fund, baby. I actually think that it's going to be like the natural cleansing to replace many of these businesses with these great AI companies, and you can get at least some of the upside in a pretty conservative manner. So like that feels like the safe bet. If you're like, where am I going to park my money on like a single stock or like a single private company? Thank goodness for John Bogle back in the day for creating the Vanguard Group to allow these cheap indexes to be so accessible to everyone.
What
I think
about
that's
a
probably
QQQ? You don't like your triple Qs?
I'm a VTSAX kind of like purist, but yeah, no, like VU, QQQ, like S5, like and I actually think just anything that's sort of indexing is really, really smart in this period of thrash, right?
Mhm.
And then for those who, yeah, and if you want to get some real alpha, there's three amazing funds that I heard about on this podcast called Three Commas. Guys, let's move on to the last story because I know we're getting close to the end here. Again, sort of along the lines of like this Anthropic glazing that we've been doing, but maybe I don't want to bash OpenAI on this one because I really do want them to be a real competitor in this space. But the C-level thrash combined with like that crazy New Yorker profile on Sam Altman this week. So let me introduce both those things really quickly, and then I want to get sort of the discussion between you two going. So there's been a lot of changeover on the C level. Certain people have been demoted. I know that two key leaders, the CMO, Kate Roush, I believe is her name, had to step down for personal health reasons that seem quite legitimate. All of our best thoughts and feelings to you. Same with Fiji Simo, whom I briefly was sort of like somewhere down the chain from her at Meta. Very effective leader, formerly at Instacart and Meta. She also has some health issues that seem quite legitimate that she has to focus on as well. But others too. There's like a huge reorg happening at the C level, and that feels thrashy. You probably don't want to see that for a business that seems to be getting a lot of momentum. Is like some pretty serious heads getting cut off. And then combine this with this crazy New Yorker article. So I'll share my screen one more time just because I think people, the one person that is probably watching us on YouTube to see what this article is. It was crazy. So this New Yorker article is 42 pages, and it seemed to have like 200 sources of people who work directly with Sam Altman. It's paywalled right now, but it's a good read. I mean, it did not paint a good picture of this guy. It seemed like almost like a pattern of they use the word sociopath many times, lying many times, no, like zero trust, kind of like his pendulum swinging politics from the left to the right. Um, Bad look, really bad look. The PR just gets so bad. So I guess like when you guys are looking at this from the outside in as I am, like what does like OpenAI have to do to sort of stabilize the PR here? It's hemorrhaging
I
right
have an
now.
idea. Buy a stupid podcast like TVPN.
Ah,
There's another one they could buy, run by three Asian
yeah,
guys.
but
Even worse than
it's three commas.
even
It's
worse
not.
than TVPN.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, yeah, like I don't even know like what the question is to ask here. At this point, we've like prosecuted this so much, but like just when you think it can get is bad, it gets worse on the PR side. And this, I mean, Ian, how are you? Let me start with you. How do you process this?
I mean, I'm writing an article which is a victory rap. I called it 2 years ago when Sam Altman was fired. Because, I looked into OpenAI deal in 2023 and I noticed these kind of patterns and I wrote that on my investment memo back then.
What was the
And
valuation back then?
25,
Oh,
$25
sell now,
billion.
sell now.
I told the team to sell it at $300 billion, like at least half of it. And it was just, Sam, and I wrote like a big ass article in Korea 2 years ago that this is the problem with the Sam. There were 10 items why we cannot trust Sam. And this just came out, and I'm 100% on board with these guys. And I got into a lot of fight, like online arguments, because hey, this Paul Graham said he was not fired. He clearly said Sam was fired,
Yeah,
and
I
all
did.
this kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot of fanboys around OpenAI. Still, there is, but I think there's a problem with the leadership at OpenAI, and it was last year he lost all the co-founders. So I think this was something that was coming, and a lot of my VC friends has been calling this for I don't know for the last year and a half. So, but they still invest in this because it's expected to make money anyway if you're early enough as a VC. I don't know. I hope they IPO. Yeah.
I do too, Kevin. So when you back in your SoftBank days, when I love making fun of you for that. It's actually really great that you had this perspective. It's like you've seen companies within the SoftBank portfolio that had sort of trouble leadership issues. Those that also had claims against them that were less than delightful.
We heard a
Like
lot.
as the investor on that, like on the board or just like seeing the inside, like how do you act when you see these kinds of things? Is there something you have to speak up on the board, confront the CEO? Like, what's the playbook here as an investor?
I mean, it's really hard, right? Because I mean, to be honest, yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that something like this was able to happen, when Sam got fired, because usually it doesn't happen until like something has hit the fan, like something wrong has majorly wrong has happened. Like with WeWork, I think they pulled the IPO, and then it was like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
Adam Newman should not be running this company, yada yada yada. With Uber, I don't know if it was one specific thing, but like there was a few incidents. I think there was like a Korea thing where he was like on a trip and that caused a lot of ruckus as well. But it's usually like one or two specific things that happen, and then it's like, okay, now we need to like take action, right? Then the board has evidence or like something they can point to which says, hey, this is not okay. Like we need to change leadership. We actually have to do something about it. But it's usually like too late before that happens. I think, I mean, there's so much. I mean, obviously, it's hard to change if Sam is actually the issue. But like in a lot of our companies, and even at SoftBank, we had a lot of HR. Like we had to bring in like teams to like fix culture, to fix HR, to fix or HR to like fix the organizational kind of things that the organization needs to like get more in order. There was a lot of political issues, like cultural things that you have to sort through. And then, frankly, I think, maybe OpenAI just needs a better PR manager or like someone who's actually good at communication, like comms, to help the team figure out how to like stop these leaks that are clearly not good and how the senior leadership should be messaging some of these announcements or things that come like this Sarah Fryer thing is like someone should have been able to help manage some of these leaks and these news sources.
Yeah, but the message was clear. Everybody left. All the C levels left for some reason, medical reasons and different reasons. But their C level has a big shakeup. So I don't know.
Like you mean that you think they handled it the best that they could in light of everyone's
No, I think it's
I
just
think they did.
it's a dumpster fire. Everybody's leaving. Everybody's giving up. What's crazy to me is it's right before the IPO. All the C levels are leaving, and they got sidelined. And then they have this crazy leak. I don't know what's going on with this company. Um, but
You know, the article is subtle. I want to address a few points, Kevin, in your comment. It's 42 pages. So I read it this morning. I was like, kids, again, I'm at Disneyland. All right. I'm like, I'm going to leave for an hour to read this thing. Okay. It's 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I go through this, and there isn't just one thing. It's actually a series of tiny things, right? Like they're just like, oh, there's this like pattern of lying by Sam Altman. This is like what they're claiming, like that, and this is like from like Dario's diaries and internal memos that he said do not share. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy, him and Elon Musk might be behind this story. And then so that's part one. It was like it wasn't like a single thing like, oh, this guy like fucking like punched this guy in the face or embezzled money. It was small things. Like he's always lying, but about small things. So maybe he's a little bit of a toxic guy too. That's the other thing I got. I'm like, yeah, that's not surprising to anyone. But I think the part is that really surprised me the most was like, this is not a leak. This is a series of 6 months of interviews that Sam had with the writer. And I think he was probably under the impression it's just like, oh, we're just doing like a nice profile, Saturday profile piece on me or something. It's going to be this wonderful compendium about my life and accomplishments. And it did not work out that way, right? It felt like a beginner move of just like,
mhm.
you should have sniffed this, dude. Like, there's too much hair in your life to be sitting down
And
across dozens of interviews.
it's also long as like investigation on Sam's prior history and interviewing his friends and everything.
Everyone.
So
Yeah.
I agree with Kevin, but like it was not a big thing. That's maybe it's actually something that's big going on there. That's why there is a leak like this. But I don't know. They could have a better PR for sure, but
Yeah.
it's not just the PR. It's just the Sam and OpenAI leadership problem.
I truly think, though, now that I'm talking to you guys about this could be Elon Musk behind it all, just to play conspirator, because he actually ends up looking pretty good in the article. He's the one saying like, we should be a philanthropic organization. We're here for like humanity. You guys are digressing away from the mission. Why are you becoming more profit centric? I was like, is that what Elon Musk says in private? It's just like, these kinds of.
It was 10 years ago. So maybe he was a good guy 10 years ago before COVID. I think
Maybe.
I liked him before COVID. I just hate him since COVID.
Hmm.
So
That's fair. The ketamine is real, right? It changes your brain, I guess. Yeah,
yeah.
Kevin's like, yeah, it does.
I mean,
Yeah,
like,
reaction, Kevin?
I
Yeah.
think what OpenAI needs to do is just like stay silent.
Yeah, I agree.
Like we had this issue at SoftBank too. There'd be a lot of leaks, he said, she said, this is, disaster, dumpster fire, this. I mean, there are a lot of issues, there were certainly a lot of issues at SoftBank too. But like the way you handle is you just stay silent. The news cycle will flow. In a couple of months, everyone will forget about it. Don't talk to the press. Don't like, obviously there's going to be leaks. That's the thing you can't control is like some
Hmm.
disgruntled employee or some senior leader leaves the firm and they might just go talk to the news or like say really, they start leaking stuff. So you can't really control that very well unless you start to track your employees and then you can actually do that as well. But either way, like just stay silent because the news cycle will move on. They'll find something else to latch onto. They just want to generate a lot of views and get eyeballs. So don't give them an excuse to get eyeballs from you, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Take that
excited
PR
to
advice, C-level.
uh, I'm excited to see if this is going to be an Uber case for SoftBank or WeWork case for SoftBank. So I think Masa has a great instinct
Are
to
either
figure
of
out
those
this.
good, Ian?
I think so. WeWork was a complete dumpster fire, but Uber, at least you got some money back. So I'm betting he's going to lose money anyway. But is it entire investment going away because it's crazy? Or, I mean, are we? I don't know. They're going to be able to do IPO, so I think it's going to get closer to the Uber way. But we'll see.
Yeah. There will be an IPO. It's happening. Everyone is going to put all of that positive energy trying to see that thing pop to trillions in valuation. The 6-month lockup expires. Let's see what happens then when you can get your money out, right? And got your multiple locked in. All right, guys. Well, look, we're at the end of I think Ian's editorial bot sequence here. Thank you, Ian Bot, for the incredible stories that we shared.
Hmm.
A little bit too much Anthropic lazing and maybe OpenAI bashing today. So maybe we can end again like with the again copying My Heroes acquired FM. So by the way, they leaked some sort of leak happened to like their sponsorship rate card and how much revenue they're making. It's something like ridiculous, like 26 or 30 million a year now with
Wow.
our
Wow,
ads. Yeah, on like it's crazy. They've already sold out through 2027 all their sponsorships too.
that's
So,
amazing.
but again, I've only heard one episode by them, even though I really admire them. And it ended with like, what are you excited about personally right now? So we can end with that again. Maybe try something a little bit different. They call it quintessence, I think. I'll start, which is yeah, just enjoying spring break with the kids. Disneyland's been great. They're older now, so we can enjoy all the rides. So it feels like a very different kind of amusement park experience. So that's where I'm gonna go. They're in the line for a pizza that I gotta just jump to right after this. Ian or Kevin, you want to go next? Like, what's exciting for you guys in the coming week or so?
I'm going to Philadelphia tomorrow for a wedding, and I've never been to Philly, so I'm very excited.
Great town.
Cheesesteak,
Philadelphia.
cheesesteak. I want to try one of those.
The beer is great. I think it's a really great beer town. I like the people too. They're gritty and nice.
Awesome. I'm going to Asia tonight. I'm going to be in Japan and Seoul, so excited for that. It's the best time to visit Asia right now. The weather's
Yes.
great, so
Can you catch a little bit of the sakura? Is that bloom over at this point?
I think it's still there. So we'll see. I'll be catching the end of it, but I'm really excited for it.
Okay.
And
Well, we're gonna want
going
to
to
hear
the
stories.
wedding in Osaka. I've never been to Osaka, so excited for that too.
Oh, eat some takoyaki. That octopus ball thing. That's like what
Oh
they're known for,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah,
all the
it's really
food.
good.
Yeah.
That's all they're doing. All right, boys. Well, all of us are on trips soon. Safe travels. Wait, we gotta do the three commas sign off. Who goes? Who's doing this next? Is that you, Ian? Is it you, Ian? It must be you,
No, we
Ian.
don't do this anymore.
Okay.
We do
No,
this.
more.
No, not
We're
really.
just too many sign-outs.
Well, I think we should still say the
Okay.
disclaimer, shouldn't we? No?
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Go
Not
ahead.
investment advice. All of these. I mean, I still like OpenAI. I'm still grateful for OpenAI to start this entire AI innovation stuff. But I hope Sam just behaves a little better for their customers and investors. But as long as I love OpenAI and Anthropic and Apple, this is not an investment advice.
All
All
right.
right.
Perfect. Safe travels, buddies. We'll see you
See you
soon,
guys.
okay?
Talk later, guys.
All right. Bye bye.